Welcome to the virtual meeting for the Analysis and Skills Mentoring Program from the International Institute of Genealogical Studies at genealogicalstudies.com. I'm Cheryl Levy, and today we're going to talk about the AS courses. And they are a special group of courses that are it's the methodology courses are the foundation of our certificates, and the AS 1, 2, 3 are the course that's at the end of each one of those sections that is an overview of what you just covered in that level. And we just make sure that you've got the concepts before you head on into the next level. And so I am going to just share my screen. Okay. And click the other button. And it's under the window. Okay. There it is. Okay. So the methodology courses are the foundation of all of our certificates, and they're in 3 levels. And there are 4 compulsory courses for each level before you take your analysis and skills mentoring class, because it's hard to do an overview of the courses you haven't taken yet. So make sure that you take those compulsory courses before you start your analysis and skills mentoring course. Okay. And then, so this is the general meeting. So this is where you would ask questions and find out tips and what things that we think that are going to be helpful to you. And so we had a question, and that is, where do you find the articles? And so they are in your course material, and they are found at the end of your course materials for AS 1, 2, and 3. And there is a separate virtual meeting just to discuss the articles. And so this is the general one that covers all the other questions and assignments. But if you're looking for the article reviews and the discussion for those of the articles, then go to the recordings for the article reviews. Okay, so that's a quick tip for there, but they are at the end of your course material, and they are a special section that we have their own virtual meetings to cover questions for that. Okay, and as I said, this was the general one. There is a part in your course where it will ask you to go out and attend the general meeting, which now this is what you're doing. So we can't tell if you went out and watched the meeting or not, or you watched a recording. So there's a little button that says mark as done. And so when you click that button, you're going to get your check mark that you did that part of the course. And so that's something manual. Some things, if you just go in and it says to read it and you come back out, it's going to give you the check mark because you did go in and they assume that you read it. Okay, so this is just 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and there are compulsory books for the AS 1, 2, 3, and that's the Genealogical Standards, Mastering Genealogical Proof, and optional for Evidence Explained, but it is a really good resource for helping you with citations. Okay, so today I wanted to cover in part 2, part 2, because I've had some students that are having a little bit of struggle in part 2, and there's a lot of transcriptions and abstracts. And so I'm going to go over that again. And so for those who are in AS3 and you've already got through AS2, there still might be some tips that will help you, because there is another section in AS3 that is transcribing an old will and doing abstracts. And it is a skill that we all need to do. And so it's one that I thought I would go over tonight for the virtual meeting. Okay, we want to emphasize, read your table of contents. Every course that you get, Read your table of contents. And Angie said, say it 3 times. Read your table of contents. Because if you're looking for something, it's probably listed in that table of contents. And so for this one, in AS2, if you read the table of contents and you go way, way down, you will see the section that says how to read and study scholarly articles, and it takes you through the steps that we recommend for you to do. And then it's actually the article in the appendix. And so that would be in there. So read your table of contents, because if you're looking back quickly and you're looking back, so say you're in AS3 and you think, oh, we covered something in AS2 and I want to go back and review it. Quickly look at your table of contents and see where it is and go back and review that section and read it again. And really, it's something that we should all be doing for our courses. It's not just do the course, write the exam, put it on your shelf and check it off your list. You're going to want to go back and reference things that were covered in the material, because each course builds and can help you with refreshing you for skills that you had learned in there. So in AS2, is a lot of transcribing and abstracting. And so there's a practical to do that you get to download. At the end of AS1, you download it and then you upload it at the beginning of AS2. And then there's 2 exercises where you do a state confiscation order and you do an American Loyalist claim. And these are documents that they're going to get you to transcribe and then abstract and then pick out the significant portions of it. We don't give you marks for these. You don't lose marks if you're still learning how to do it, but we do want you to complete them, because we're going to take a look and see if there are areas that we can help you, that maybe you aren't quite getting it in some area. We will give you the feedback in order to help you to refine your skills. Okay, and so the transcribing and practical is at the beginning, and you have to download it and then you upload your answer. We also covered the analysis and skills process, the evidence analysis process map. And this is right in AS 1, 2, and 3, and forever and ever as a researcher. Okay, so you really need to get this. And so just a quick review. A source is something that was created, and an original source was created at the time it happened. And a derivative was created by using other sources and combining them in to a new source. It's a new creation, but the material is from other places. So it's a derivative. It's not created. Maybe somebody's making an index. Maybe somebody's gathering different documents together and creating a new book or a new resource. So it's still a new creation, but it's coming from other sources combined. And then if you add analysis and text, then it's going to be authored, because now you're actually creating like a book or something. So out of those sources, out of that box, is the information. So information that's in your source, it's either primary, it happened and they wrote it down. There were eyewitnesses. It's a baptism and the priest is there and he's baptized the child and this was the name and this is the date and he's writing it all in his register. Okay, somebody died and there's a death certificate. When did he die? Well, you can write that in. What was the cause of death? You write that in. And it's what happened right there. That's primary information. But if somebody told you something and you wrote it down, that's secondary, that's secondhand information. So for the death certificate, so they asked, well, who were the parents? They don't know who the parents were. Someone would have to tell them and write it down. Okay. And if it's blank, then we don't know who did it. And if we don't know on a death certificate, you should pretty much know who gave the information because it says who the informant was at the bottom, but there could be pieces on there that we don't know where they came from. And so for evidence, you have to answer a question. And so the death date on a death certificate is direct evidence to this is when he died. So if the question was, when did Mr. Smith die, Mr. Jones, whoever it is, when did he die? The death is there, it's directly answering. But if it says, when was he born? And you don't have a birth date there, and this is a long time since when he was born, but maybe it has an age there so you can kind of figure out approximately when he was born, that would be indirect evidence. It would mean that you kind of get a clue for it, but it doesn't directly answer it, but it's going to help you in the process of finding that information. But if it's blank for the parents, that's negative. This document is not going to help me answer my question at all. It's negative evidence. There's nothing on here that's going to tell me who his parents were. And so that's a quick review of the process. A lot of times it is a judgment that you have to judge. Okay, did this happen at the time? Did somebody tell it and they wrote it down, or did they, where is this information coming from? And so we're gonna be using assignments that are gonna help you to. We're gonna quiz you on it until it becomes automatic, right? Okay, but the big part in AS2 is the transcriptions and the abstracts. And so in your basic level, you've taken the transcribing, abstracting, and extracting course. And in the advanced level is the paleography, which is reading. It really goes into reading old handwriting. And I think it was my hardest course when I was a student, but I think I learned the most out of this course. It stretches you. Don't be afraid of it, but know that you're not going to skim through it. It's not easy. There's going to be a lot of information. It's figuring out currency and dates on the calendar and measurements. Who knew that there was a special measurement for wool? I didn't know that. And how to calculate how many yards of material at this amount of money, and what it's just doing a lot. It's church holidays. There's a lot of things in there, but you have to know how to read the handwriting in order to do your transcriptions and then be able to figure out what the heck they're talking about in the document. And so that's why transcribing is important. And we should transcribe all of our documents because it makes you go word by word everything that's in the document. And then once you have it all figured out and you have it all in text, you don't have to read that old handwriting anymore because you've got it nicely typed up all in one sheet or multiple pages if it is, and you have it all. You don't have to go back and try and figure it out. But then what do you do with those sheets of information? We're going to talk about that in a minute. So what is a transcription? It's an exact copy. It should look, as much as you can, look like your document, only it's typed instead of handwriting. So if there's a symbol, if there's a line, if there's a big bracket in it, if the text at the top is big, a bigger font, you want to bold it and make it big. You want to make it look as much as your original as you can, as if you're looking at it, but you don't have to figure out the handwriting. If there's an ink blot in the middle, you want to put in square brackets, ink blot. You want to put everything. It's an observation of your document and everything that's on it. And that's a transcription. Don't change the spelling. Don't change the capitals if they put a capital in the middle. Of the sentence, they did that. And you could have several spellings of the same word in the same document. But be true to what the document is actually saying. And you want to always, 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 always put a source citation at the top and then transcribed by your name and the date every time you do a transcription. Okay, so we also do abstracts. And how is an abstract different than a transcript? An abstract then takes your transcript and you're going to pull out all of the details in that document. And Brenda always told me, she says, remember, they got paid for every word in a document. So some documents have a lot of extra words in there that you don't really know, and it sounds very flowery and, you know, a big explanation, and you're like, get to the point already. But they're putting extra words in there to get paid more money. And so we can take those out because those are not going to give us the details that are going to lead us to documents. And so when you're doing an abstract, you always again have the source citation at the top, only this time you're going to put abstracted by your name and your date. But you are going to want to keep, and I'm going to show you how to how to get rid of words and how to keep them. You want to keep every date, every name, location, occupation, position, any little detail that you see there, even if you don't know what it might lead to, you want to keep all of those details because they could be a clue. And so you're only taking out the extra words that aren't going to help you find records. Now, we are doing this abstract process for the purpose that this is a tool for you as the researcher to then take this little checklist of details and go create your research plan and know what records to look for. And that's part of the process. If you're abstracting something maybe to write a story, you may abstract different elements out of it because now you have a different purpose. But the purpose of this abstract is to find details that are going to lead you to records. And so the client is never going to see this. This is your little checklist. I had one student say, it's like you're going to make a cake. You have so many ingredients you're going to put in your cake, and you have to go to the store. So you have to know what ingredients to see to make your cake, right? And so this is all the details that you're going to need to go and find records in order to be able to answer your question. Okay, if you add anything to your abstract that's not in your document, put it in square brackets. And then you know you added that in. It wasn't in the original document. It could be, I don't know, in one place they said Gray County, and in the next place they just said from Gray, and they left out county or township or, you know, some other word and they didn't complete it, or they left off the province this time. You can, in square brackets, put it in just so you know it's the same place. Okay. So that's a quick overview of that. So I'm going to show you a petition that I did for my own research. And I used the petition because there is petitions in AS2. And so I just wanted to give you another perspective of how you would abstract this. So this is actually an abstract for my ancestor, who was a British soldier and is petitioning for property. And so see how I took the original and then I typed it out, and you're not going to probably be able to read it all, but do you see how it looks very similar to what is on the page? So you want it to look the same, only it's typed. And this page is actually this section down here. I didn't show the other two parts like I did back here because there was you want to do everything. You want to do the front and the back and everything that's on it. Okay, so once I have that, then I'm going to go through and I'm going to start crossing off. So I'm going to cross off. Okay, it was for George Farnell. Well, his name is already in the document. I don't need that. So any duplicates, you're going to cross them off. You're going to take out you know, down here. So he was born in Yorkshire, in England, in the year of 1759 and enlisted in His Majesty's 33rd Regiment of Foot in the year of 1778. Well, all I need is he was born. I don't even need he. All I need is born in Yorkshire, England, 1759, enlisted 33rd Regiment, 1778. So you're taking out those extra words, but you're keeping the detail that you need to go and look records. Now I know what regiment he was in. Now I know where he was born. And in fact, I did go back and get his baptism record in Yorkshire and found it because of this petition. And so you're just keeping the details and you're crossing all that in the year of and all of these extra little words. And so here's the front part, all transcribed. And then again, I'm going to take it and I'm going to cross out. So I have a petition, I have the abstract source citation at the top. And so I'm going to cross all these off and I'm only going to keep, there's an ink blot there and there's another ink blot. I don't need that. It's not going to help me find a record. I'm going to cross that off. I need it in the transcription, but not in the abstract. I'm just going to keep the details. And then this is what I'm left with. So another step, it's not in the course material, but I'm visual. So what has helped me is once I've done the crossing out, I take a highlighter and I highlight what I kept. And does that make sense? And then I look and say, okay, this is what I kept. Look at what I crossed off. Is there anything in that cross-offs that I should have kept? And that it's all very faint, ink blot, cover of the petition. It's all things that I don't need to keep. And I'm going to do that the same for the other side. And see, I've highlighted the parts that I kept, and I'm looking at what I crossed off, that those really are just extra words. They don't contain any details. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those and I'm going to delete all the parts that I have crossed off. And now I have a nice list of information that I found in the document without all the extras. And I'm going to take that and then I'm going to block it and I'm going to click the button for bullets and it's going to put each one of those details in its own little bulleted line. And so now I have a really nice list. I have, okay, this was who it was. It was the commander-in-chief of Nova Scotia. It's a memorial for my ancestor, George Farnell, who was born Yorkshire, England, 1759. He enlisted in this regiment. He enlisted in this one. Then he went to Muscatobit Harbor. He has 8 children. You know, it gives each detail down. So now I don't have to go back and look at that text. I don't have to look at that document again to find out where was he living. It's here in my little checklist. And so that's why it's a good tool for us, because then we can take it and go look for records. And so remember, it's a source citation at the top. You're going to put abstracted by your name and the date. You're going to keep every date, name, location, occupation. If I click back just for a second, see, I've kept when he enlisted, the year, when he was discharged, where he was residing. It didn't say 1802, but he said he was residing at the time of the petition. So I put it in square brackets that he was residing there, and that he's asking for land for himself and his family. He signed with an X and all the other information. And so now I have it. And if I do that for every document, then when I'm going to look for records, I have all the information right with me. Okay, and so this is for what we do in the courses. That's an example of doing the transcriptions and abstracts for AS3. You are going to have one more exercise with that. You're going to be transcribing a 1748 English will and then you're going to make an abstract of it, and then you're going to do a research plan for it. So AS2, you dive in and you learn about abstracts. You're going to do a really simple one in the first section that we're going to, and once you've done that, question 3, you stop. And then you have your mentoring session so we can give you feedback on how you're doing. Are you doing it the way that's going to be most helpful? We're going to give you feedback. And then you do part 2. And in part 2, there are 6 land transactions that you need to abstract each one. And then at the end of those 6, you're going to do a summary of what's happening. And it's all chronological. And this year, this happened. And this year, this happened. And you're going to see what's happening with this piece of property. But by doing the abstract first, it sorts all that information that then it's going to be easy to write your summary. Okay, I also wanted to share with you a couple resources that I have found helpful for those doing AS courses, and that this is one that is, and you can just do a screenshot of the slide, and it is creating a genealogy research plan like a detective, because as genealogists, we're like detectives, right? We're looking for the clues, we're trying to find that record that's going to give us evidence. We're gathering all the facts and the information, so we really are like detectives. This was a good article to help you. Okay, then, whoops, went a little bit too fast. Then I want to direct you to the BCG website, and there's lots of resources. Now, they have updated their website recently, and so if you go to a website using a link that you already have saved, or it's in your course notes and it's not working, but you still can get to the BCG website, then search. They always have a search on the page. And so if you're looking for a particular article or particular topic or an article, search on the page and see if you can find it. But they did reorganize their website. And so now it's nice little boxes and you click on them, but it has broken it down into different sections that make it easy for you to go and find resources for professional genealogists. Okay, and so another website to go to is the National Genealogical Society, and they have resources on their website. It's little buttons across the bottom. It says getting started, and then one of them says going to the next level, and look at all the links that they have and different topics of examples of helping you. This is building citations while writing. A guide to documenting source citations, foundations in family history. It just gives you genealogical proof standard in practice. She gives you an example of how to do that. Getting the most out of case histories is another one that is really good to help you in as an additional research, because the notes are good, the website recommendations are good, but there's always other things. And so look and see if you can find resources that are going to help you. And then there is building advanced skills. And this is still on the National Genealogical Society website, but it gives you, using spreadsheets, calculating dates and date ranges, surname shapes, just examples of different articles that they think is going to help people in their research. Okay, so the analysis and skills general meeting is always to ask questions. So if you have questions, it's always once a month, and the virtual article review meetings are every 2 months. And so check your calendar to see when they are, but go to any of the general ones that you can attend. It's going to be good to go and just ask your question. Okay, and so check the calendar to see when the next one was. As always, if anybody needs more help, and especially for the abstracting, there are students who just they need to talk it out. one-on-one. But for the AS courses or any of your courses, you can always book a 30-minute consultation to help go over a concept that you're just not getting, and that you can do through the store. Okay, these is a quick quick page for links to all of our websites with the courses, the store, the genealogystore.com, our blog, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and YouTube channels. And a lot more of our virtual meetings are being uh, put on YouTube for other people to see, not just our students, but every recording in the student calendar, that's a student benefit. So go, if you missed something, go back and see and check and see if there's something that you want to watch in the recordings. And so that is what I have for today. So I want to thank you for those who were here and those that are listening by recording. This has been the Analysis and Skills Mentoring virtual meeting for the International Institute of Genealogical Studies at genealogicalstudies.com. And I'm Cheryl Levy, and I hope that you will come back and join us for another live one or watch some of the recordings, and those are on the side menu at the very bottom of your Analysis and Skills course. Okay, thank you.